Is pivoting or rebranding in the horizon for your business? Maybe you're in the middle of that, or you're thinking about it for sometime soon. If you said yes to either of these, then today's episode is for you, because we are talking about ways in which you can continue to create content for your audience, even if you've grown an audience and you're in the middle of a rebrand or a pivot. Stick around. Hola, I'm Yesenia Bocanegra, and I'm a photographer turned marketing strategist who took a leap of faith and moved 3,000 miles away from home with one camera and one heavy suitcase filled with dreams. In this show, I share a variety of tips, tactics, and candid conversations to help you grow and up-level your business with purpose and joy, one action item at a time. So get comfortable and let's get started. This is the Focus and Bloom podcast. Content isn't just about sharing information, really is a conversation starter. So ever since the pandemic started, we have seen businesses shift priorities and adapt to current circumstances, and that in turn resulted into a pivot. Pivoting really isn't necessarily an easy process. And as a small business owner, this actually makes it even harder because we are wearing all the hats and we're doing all the things. Even if we have a small team helping us, we are still the lead and the head of this entrepreneurial journey. We're the ones that have that larger vision for our business. So in my 10 plus years of business, I've actually pivoted twice. Once being in my third year, where I shifted from fashion photography to weddings and portraits. And then the second time, which was 2 years after that, when the pandemic started, where I shifted from weddings into brand photography and more coaching. Now, I've been a professor at a university since 2009. I've worked at a variety of higher education institutions, and really, it sort of became more of an organic decision because I really enjoy teaching. And that's one of the reasons why I actually started the podcast and now, continue to do more videos on YouTube, because I really love education. And it's sort of organically fell this way. And one of the things that you need to do as a business owner is to really listen to what your business is telling you, where things are going. And sometimes that pivot might come from a necessity like a pandemic and you need to adjust, but maybe that pivot could actually come from your business actually needing to level up and step it up a notch. And that's why you're pivoting. You can also pivot because you're not really no longer connected with what you're doing, or you're feeling passionate about something else. You feel that that's more aligned or in alignment with your overall purpose and your goal for your business and for your life too. If you're in that process or thinking about that and you're wondering how is it that you can still market to your audience because you've already established or grown a particular size of an audience, and you're now pivoting, and probably that means that the audience is going to change. First of all, let me tell you that is okay, because if you had a particular or previous audience that responded or connected with you with that initial product or that initial business model, and they may no longer connect with you now, that's okay. If you lose that audience, that's perfectly fine. You ultimately want to have an audience that you can connect with and you have something in common. Let's sort of break this down. Before you decided on the pivot, how often did you communicate with your audience? Were you very consistent posting on social media? Were you consistent sending emails? How does that look? If you haven't done email marketing, then this is the perfect time to start doing email marketing, because the thing about email marketing is that you will own your audience, that list of audience that follows you, that's subscribed to your email. You don't own your followers. So if any social media platform decides to crash for a day, then you can still communicate and serve your audience through email. So that is one of the beauty of having an email marketing platform. You can really extend the way in which you can connect with your audience in a slightly more personal way by appearing in their inbox. So whether or not you've continued to communicate with them through email or social media or not, and you already decided that you're going to pivot, it's good to sort of introduce this audience to what's coming up next in your journey. So send out an email, reach out to them and show some gratitude, like really thank them for being there with you while and throughout this journey from whenever they joined your list and whenever they've been following you. So thank them for being there, because And nowadays, there's so much information. It's like overload. So if they really connected with you and they signed up for your newsletter, thank them. In your new communication, you want to talk about what's new. So in this email, this way that you're reaching out to people, talk about what's coming up next. What type of services you will be offering, but don't go into the sales pitch mode. No. It's just have a conversation with a friend. Tell me what's up, what you're doing, and just present them what's coming new, and leave them the invitation that, hey, if you resonate with this, then hey, continue hanging out. Let's keep hanging out here. I'm still on social media, Or maybe if this is not something that you are no longer resonating with, and you feel that you want to unsubscribe, that's perfectly fine, but just present them what you're doing next so that it doesn't catch them by surprise whenever out of the blue you suddenly have a completely different service or the completely different client experience or business model. So when it comes to the content that you're creating in social media, try to see if there is a connection or a link that you can still bridge between that old audience, or not necessarily an old audience, but that previous business model and the new one. Is there something in common? Is there a link to that? And if there is, beautiful, because then you can still meet your audience, your original audience, meet them where they are by showcasing them this new service or this new model applied to one of those frequently common questions or pain point problems that your original audience has. So that is a really great way to segue the two. You can do this in a variety of ways, whether that is on email or sharing posts on social media. Maybe you create a webinar. It really depends, and it's all about your level of comfort. Still, try to find where the two can meet them halfway, meet them where they are, meet them where they are, and then offer them this other point of view. And again, if they no longer resonate, that's perfectly fine. They can leave and maybe they come back later or not. You never know. Keep in mind that when you're creating content, you can create content that creates awareness, that educates, and that inspires. So you can rotate these types of contents throughout the week, throughout the month, and still be able to market your business, especially market this new model that you have, and still address that initial audience that you have. Again, by meeting them where they are. And you can probably start with those educational type content so that then you can bridge that gap in between. Another fun way to do this, you can kind of catch people off guard and step outside your comfort zone by creating fun and entertaining videos. I'm not saying you need to go out and start making dance videos and TikToks and Reels, but by all means, if you want to break a dance, break a move, go for it. I approve. So really, I know how to dance, but when I'm not actually dancing, I am very quirky. So there you go. So experiment with a variety of content too, especially because you're shifting, you're pivoting your marketing. So this is the perfect excuse, the perfect reason, not an excuse, but the perfect reason to test out different types of content. More videos, maybe more TikToks or Reels, or maybe you're going live more often, or you're doing different types of emails or more emails. So many options really, but test. And this is not just right now when you're pivoting or rebranding. It's always good to test out different types of content throughout your regular marketing campaign, especially when you feel that there isn't that much engagement or that your social media is sort of like stale. So if there's something off and if you see that growth is sort of like it's just stuck, then maybe that's another reason or another moment where you can test out something different and see what people resonate with. But this is the perfect time to test out different content because you're rebranding and you want to see what people will resonate the best with. I mentioned that you can create content that is that creates awareness, that inspires and educates. I want you to know that it doesn't have to be boxed into that categories. These categories really can intertwine. It can intertwine themselves. So you can create something that's funny, but it's also inspirational, or something that's funny, it's also educational, or educational and inspiring, however that is. So don't think about it as a very rigid box. This is really malleable, and you can just be free and creative in mixing and matching this. Remember, always go back to that mission and that value proposition that you're offering your audience. And this often goes back to what's your audience's common pinpoint problem? What are some of those common questions that they keep on asking? And you can approach that by creating this variety of content and testing out what kind of works best. If you found these tips helpful, please be sure to subscribe to this podcast, whether you're tuning in on your favorite podcast platform or watching on YouTube. Be sure to click subscribe or check out more videos related to this particular topic. See you next time. Thanks for tuning in on another episode of the Focus and Bloom podcast. Be sure to leave us a review on iTunes so that we can continue creating more content like this. And go ahead and visit today's show notes at focusandbloomstudios.com/shownotes.